Did you know that we can learn a lot about our gut health from the Hadza uh, people who are a hunter-gatherer group from the northern part of Tanzania? And so today we are going to dive into the gut health and what the gut health is like in this Hadza group that is very, or the Hadza people, because they actually maintain the traditional ways of life that, we were hunter gatherers at one time, but our Western world is not that way now. So we're going to talk about their diet and what makes and how their microbiome reacts to their diet, the health implications, as well as some practical insights that come from studying the Hadza and from our modern diet perspective. So let's get going. I love this. All right. So a little bit of color for us uh, ladies this afternoon when we have yeah, so the Hadza is a hunter-gatherer population that lives in northern Tanzania. They maintain the traditional ways of life, relying on foraging and hunting for their food, and their diet consists primarily of tubers, berries, honey, babo, baobab fruit. Somebody can help me with that, as well as wild game. So they're not vegan. They're not 100% plant based, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. And it's got me into a new topic that we're going to dive into on Monday as well. So, what is it about their lifestyle? Their diet is very fiber rich. Uh, so their diet, I'm going to go back here. Their diet is very fiber rich. They have high dietary fiber, averaging around 100 to 150 grams of fiber per day. Now, to put that into perspective with the Western diet, most people on the Western diet are averaging around 20 grams of fiber per day. So that's or less. It's often less than 20 grams of fiber per day. So that's like they're getting 100 to 150. So at least 5 times more than what kind of an average person on a Western diet would be getting for fiber. And I think the recommendation is at least 40 grams of fiber per day. Most people, a lot of people are way below what they should be getting. And the Hadza are definitely rock stars when it comes to the fiber they're getting. They have a very diverse microbiome, and one of the most diverse gut microbiomes that have been observed in any population, human population, that is. And it's attributed to their high fiber, their varied diet, and which supports a wide variety of gut bacteria. And I'm going to talk beneficial gut bacteria. The other thing about the Hadza is that they actually have a seasonal variation. And OJ, I'm sure you can relate to this. They've got a wet season and a dry season. And I know right now is the wet season, which I don't know if that's not very fun, but in the dry season, they are eating a lot of, that's when they're eating their plant-based foods. And so they're getting a lot of uh, tubers these baboa fruit, and they're having a very high fiber, complex carbohydrate diet. Now, when we switch to the wet season, they're eating berries, honey, and they're actually, at this point, they're having an increase in their meat consumption, and that'll change their composition of their microbiome uh, because they're eating more meat. So then in the wet season, they're getting more natural sugars, proteins, and also fats. Then the protein and fats are coming, those extra proteins and fats are coming from the meat and the wild game that they're eating. And so, what does that mean from a health perspective? Um, Number one is they already said they have a very diverse gut microbiome because of the different foods that they're eating, and so that's going to help them to promote a better immune system and immune function. They have lower inflammation, and that all will reduce their risk of chronic diseases. And we've talked about the seasonal aspect of it. And so, what this seasonal aspect does is it actually um, demonstrates the gut microbiome's resilience and adaptability because they do have that dietary change, and you do see a difference in their gut microbiome. Uh, the uh, intake in dietary fiber supports the healthy gut, and it provides the food with beneficial bacteria and promotes regular bowel movements and prevents digestive disorders as well. And I wanted to make a comment about the modernization. They have done studies and they have shown that even a short term change and exposure to the Western diet can significantly impact the gut microbiome of the Hadza population. And when you move to a more Western diet, what they find is that it reduces the diversity and changes the composition of the gut microbiome. And I have a visitor here, everybody.
It's the Deb Show. It's live.
It's the Deb Show with Benji here. He came to say hello. All
He's
right.
your co-host.
He is today, and I bet you he'll be back because he does like to come back when he these. So the unfortunate, I think the main thing to take away on the modernization is that there are negative health impacts that happen when the Hadza are exposed to and eating more Western diet foods. And this is something that has been shown as well for other populations in the blue zones. When they look at the blue zones, as the modernization comes in, and you start seeing fast food restaurants and other things coming in, more processed foods coming into the grocery stores, you are seeing that the reduction in that age and how many people are actually becoming centenarians. So this is not new. It's something they found, and so this is all coming from research studies that have happened. So there's a study in Nature's Communication, and there's also some studies in other reputable journals about the Hadza and their microbiome. And basically, um, the fact that their diet really, it's underscoring the health advantages of eating a high fiber plant-based diet that can lower your chronic disease, such as heart disease, um, diabetes, and and some of the cancers as well. And so I'm going to end this with a little bit on some of the practical insights for our modern diet. And maybe some of these are new to you, but definitely when we look at different ways of looking at our diet and research and everything, they all come to a very similar conclusion, looking at it from different aspects. So I don't think that if you've been watching that any of this is going to be a surprise. It'll probably be a repeat. So the first thing is that uh, we should be looking at increasing our fiber intake. So you should be aiming to get at least 30 grams of fiber per day. And you can get that through a variety of fiber-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and whole grains will help you with that. You want to have a diverse diet to support a diverse gut microbiome. So rotate different types of fruits and vegetables and other plant-based foods to ensure that you're getting a wide variety of both nutrients and fibers. Because what happens is when we are, if you're eating the same thing all the time, uh, let's say you decide you're going to eat carrots all the time. Carrots are good for in certain place they have, and that's the only vegetable. Oh, I know people that pretty much that would apply, that carrots is like the only vegetable they eat, or peas or something like that. And you end up getting certain nutrients, but you're missing others because it doesn't have all of the nutrients. They're nutrient rich in certain vitamins and minerals. So this is why we want to eat the rainbow, eat a variety is the best. And we also, when you're eating your fruits and vegetables, try to eat local if you can, because, when we in Canada, we're getting fruits and vegetables from all over the world. Especially because we basically have nothing that we're producing on our own in the winter, other than for some things that are in greenhouses, because we have a winter and we're, in the snow. So our growing season is limited to from the end of May till about November. And so this is going to limit the foods that we can produce here. So, if you can eat things that are coming from locally, that's the best, because they're not traveling and they're not spending a whole bunch of time uh, in transit and sitting in a warehouse, hopefully. And the other thing is that it's going to cut down on the pollution and the resources that it takes for it to travel. So, we want to be cognizant of all that. But like here in Toronto, we are getting avocados from Mexico. That's where we get them. We get a lot of vegetables from California, and some of the things are coming from Spain, South Africa. So they're coming from all over the world, pretty much, so that we can have these fruits, and so we're getting seasonal stuff from different places. But again, eating seasonal local is the best. And right now, asparagus is part in season. So you'll probably, at least here, we see more asparagus these days. So we're having a asparagus rich food right now. And then later on, it'll be something else that will be in season. If you can limit your processed foods, minimize the consumption of processed foods, because they tend to be high in sugar, the SOS, sugar, oil, and salt. And typically it's unhealthy fats. We've talked about what's healthy and unhealthy fats, and most of them are unhealthy. And also, they have artificial additives. They have things for color. They have additives for pr- preservatives. They have additives to make it taste better, all sorts of things. So, you want to limit how much you're and watch your labels when you're eating processed. And so we are trying, if you're doing the 14-day Kickstart program, we're trying really there, we're looking at eating our whole foods that are not processed. And you want to minimize that. I think when we do eat processed, a lot of it's coming from a can would be like chickpeas or the lentils or beans, and even there you can make your own. The other thing that we want to do is make sure that we have prebiotic and postbiotic probiotic foods. And so our probiotic foods are what is they basically have the beneficial bacteria in them, and it's usually coming from a fermented food. So probiotic rich foods are kefir, and I would suggest you get the water kefir. You can get dairy kefir as well, but I'm gonna say try stick with the water kefir. Tempeh, which is fermented soy. Again, making sure that it's organic from our discussion on soy the other day. Miso, which is a fermented bean paste. Then you can get fermented vegetables, would be like a sauerkraut, kimchi. You could make your own, and it's so easy to make your own. Um, you could make pickled carrots, you can make pickles. And those are basically your fermented vegetables. And then prebiotic rich foods. So prebiotics are what um, the beneficial bacteria eat. That's the fiber, pretty much. And I just noted a couple here: garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus. Oh, I didn't even catch the that as being because it's seasonal. Bananas, and there's so many fruits and vegetables. Basically, your prebiotics are your fruits and your vegetables, for sure. So those are our ways that we can make sure that we are watching our diet for our best health. And again, not something different than we've seen in other studies and other looking at other studies and things. All right, so I'm going to say, is there any questions on the Hadza and what we found from looking at their diet? And I'm going to try and move my cat now because he's on my computer. I don't know if you can see what my screen looks like. Probably, I hope not. As he laid down on my computer.
Just a comment. I saw some. It was on public broadcasting, and it was about people who live in Hawaii who were a part of the original people,
Mhm.
and there's a huge weight problem, and they put them on a supervised diet with the traditional Hawaiian foods, and they all lost it. They all lost the weight. So, I mean, there could be a genetic component too, because I don't know if I was switched to a diet of traditional Hawaiian foods if I would lose weight, but it worked for them.
Yeah, I think the point, and that's a actually a really good comment, but I think the point of something like that is that what they're eating is the foods that were meant to be eaten for that area, the traditional foods, and you're going to be getting more kind of like the Hadza, your fruits and vegetables.
Mhm.
And they had their all of the things that they have as hunter gatherers. And it's the same thing with us. I mean, processed foods weren't around all the time, and even if you look at meat consumption, if you go back, meat consumption was, and I'm going to talk about this more on Monday. I've decided we're going to do not about meat, but I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about meat on, and what what they found from a gut health perspective as we continue into week 3 on our gut health. But um, the amount of meat that people were eating was very minimal compared to now. So in the Western diet, the main, um, I guess, the main attraction of the dish typically is uh, your animal protein. And then, if you go to a restaurant, especially, you get a little bit of what they call garnish, which is, a little bit of vegetables. That's the garnish. And really, the whole dish is formed around the protein. Or it could be formed around your pasta or something like that. But it's definitely not plant forward the way that we originally things were. So that I think is part of it, Kathy, is the whole idea of eating those foods. And meat used to be for the wealthy, and very little, very sparingly. It was, it was a luxury. It was a treat. It wasn't like the main part of your meal, which is really what it's come down to now. You make your food around whatever protein you're serving, which is whatever meat you're serving, right? So that I think is part of it, for sure. And so that doesn't surprise me, and I think it's also definitely consistent with all of the research and things we've been talking about. For sure. All right. Any other comments or questions? As Benji's coming to say hello. He's, yeah, yeah, he's gonna lie down on my keyboard again. All right. Tomorrow we are in the kitchen. We are going to continue on with our gut health into next week. So tomorrow we're in the kitchen, and no surprise, we're going to make something that's good for our gut health.
Yay!
We'll see you then, 2 p.m. And if you like what you're seeing, share it with someone else. And don't forget to follow us. Bye now.